I found these people, Parts Express. Now, I do not know how I found them. It might have been, I think this was before the internet. I may have gone to a bookstore and saw a speaker builder magazine, because I subscribed to them for a while. I think that's how it started. Speaker Builder was a magazine that was geared towards people that built their own speakers. And I'm pretty sure I saw an advertisement for Parts Express in that. And then I was able to order a catalog. And then that changed everything. Because up until then, I really didn't know how to get speakers. Radio Shack, they had what they had, but it really wasn't, they weren't the best as far as, like I said before, what you could purchase to actually build a speaker with. They didn't have really great stuff. They had some good stuff, but the woofers, I just didn't like most of them. And maybe this is your experience too, but you go to buy a woofer from Radio Shack and bring it home, and the thing's already blown. It's got a scratchy voice coil, or it's been messed with. They had so many layers of tape on their boxes sometimes for their speakers that it was just ridiculous. So when I started to get back into it, when I discovered Parts Express, now I got a 2010 catalog here. These are the Dayton Storms, 2010. I got a 2011 catalog here, and this is the beginning of their array that they started making with I think Don Keel designed that. And these are the kind of the good old days. Radio Shack used to have catalogs, and Parts Express used to have catalogs. For the past couple of years, they haven't done a catalog. I know it's I would say probably a Herculean effort to put a catalog out with all their products. Prices changing so rapidly, they just sort of stopped it. And I understand it's nice to leaf through a catalog, but with the internet and everything's so readily accessible to so many people. It sort of does, I guess, make sense. It was nice flipping through here and looking at the capacitors and resistors and all that kind of stuff, and having a hard copy where you could just sort of browse. But at any rate, I'm not here to complain, because I understand. But Parts Express is actually a big reason why I'm building speakers now, why I got back into it, and why I mess around with stereos and amplifiers and things like that. It's because of this company, and I'll explain why. I'm not affiliated with Parts Express at all. I have been in the past. I was on their design team, designed several speaker systems for them. Before, you take a year and you design 3 speaker systems, and you get them published either online or in one of the magazines that they send, sales flyers. And but that's been several years ago. So I'm not affiliated with them, but I just think they're really a good company, and I'll explain why. Because if you're a person that's interested in speaker building, stereos, electronics, amplifiers, that kind of stuff, where do you go to get that stuff? There's some places now. You have some avenues. There's besides Parts Express, there's AliExpress if you want to go get something and wait 2 months for it. There's Banggood. Amazon has some of those same products, and Amazon sort of resells stuff from other places. There's Matasound. There's MCM Electronics, which is MCM N1, I think is what it's called now. I don't want to start naming them because I'll forget some, but the point is, there are a lot of places to purchase stuff if you're into speakers or designing speakers, electronic audio stuff. But Parts Express, for me, that was the company that when I came across them and saw their catalog, and I looked and I saw, oh my gosh, they have so many woofers in here, page after page after page of woofers. And I thought, oh, this is incredible. I mean, it really, it was something that was astounding to me. It was something that I had been wanting to find, and I didn't know how to find it. I didn't know how to get to a place that I could buy this stuff. And Parts Express is cool because they cater to the person who, wants to build their own speakers. They have a great selection of crossover components of varying levels of quality. So you want to do a beginner system for, spend the minimal amount of money, you got stuff for that. You want to go fancy boutique, you got stuff for that. So it used to be Radio Shack. Radio Shack's gone, and then Parts Express, to me, is sort of the next Radio Shack. They're sort of taking up that mantle for the do-it-yourselfer who likes to build speakers, and actually Parts Express even sells more amplifiers, Bluetooth stuff, a lot more than they ever used to. It's really sort of exploded, and there's a big hobby movement towards making Bluetooth speakers. I'm sort of getting into it last year and this year. And I'm way late to the game because it's been several years that tons of people have been making thousands of videos on YouTube about how to make Bluetooth speakers. Of course, I'm getting the hang of it now that the fad's probably gone, but I don't care. I'm doing it because I like it, not because it's a whatever. Anyway, so I come across Parts Express and I'm looking through their catalogs and I'm finding all kinds of stuff that I can buy. And there's a little bit of at the time there was a guy named Darren Kuzma who would do a project every month or every other month, and he would advertise. Parts Express would advertise this project in the flyer catalogs that they would send out, the mailers, and they were good. You know, some of them, some people still. Just the other day, I was on the forum and a guy was looking to sort of redo. I think it was Dr. K's MTMs, something like that. I think that was a Darren Kuzma design. And so they were they were catering to the person who wanted to build their own speakers. And so when I came across Parts Express, I knew this is great. Now I have a place to buy the speakers that I want. Never even knew existed. I mean, I never heard of Vifa, Peerless. I didn't know what they were. I heard of Eminence, but so many different makers of speakers that I never knew about. And it was just great. And they catered to me and people like me who want to build speakers. So that's sort of what got me back into it. I found Parts Express and I started designing speakers again. And I didn't know about crossovers very, very much. I knew by then you needed to have one. I knew they sent the bass to the woofer and the highs to the tweeter. I couldn't really tell you what else. I didn't understand why you couldn't just buy a pre-made crossover and just connect everything up and it wouldn't sound perfect. I know now it doesn't usually work, but at the time I wanted things to be easier and they're just not. There's a whole lot that you do have to learn to be able to design and build speakers that sound good, unless you're going to build a kit or something. But at any rate, Parts Express, I came across them, and then I had this source that I could go to purchase the speakers and everything associated with it that I needed. It was from Parts Express that I learned about Harris Technologies, Bassbox Pro, and Crossover Pro. Those are two programs. They come as a bundle. I think they're still selling them. They're not optimized for a lot of things as far as your baffle and there's a lot of things. It's basically textbook value crossover design in a really attractive format as far as how the computer program works. Bassbox Pro, I still use that for designing enclosures. It's great for making a weird size enclosure, and it'll tell you the cubic volume that you need. I use WinISD to design speaker enclosures now for the most part. It's a free program. I used Crossover Pro in the beginning, and I did design some speakers that sounded, I would say, fine. They weren't optimum because I never, you need to take measurements of your speakers with the drivers in the box on the baffle that they're going to be in, and all these things that you need to do to design a good sounding crossover for your specific application. It didn't take any of that into account. It just took the driver specs for the woofer, tweeter, mid-range out, whatever, and then you would punch it in and it would give you a basic crossover. Not optimized, but it would usually keep you from blowing something up or melting down one of the speakers or frying a tweeter or something like that. But I learned from that, and at some point, I think it was 2006, I discovered the Parts Express Tech Talk board. It looks different now than it did back then. It was arranged differently, but that was another godsend because then not only did I have a place to buy the stuff from, the speakers, the wire, the capacitors, all this stuff. Now I had a place where I could bounce ideas off of people and learn and talk to people. And so, I didn't know much. And in fact, I knew a lot less than I thought I knew. And I thought I didn't know much. But I found Tech Talk, and that's been great because and that was the first forum I ever joined. I still only belong to like 4 or 5 or 6 forums in my whole life. I spent enough time on Tech Talk and doing speakers and stuff like that where I'm afraid if I have too many interests and join too many forums, I'll just be like Tron and turn into, zeros and ones and just sort of float into the other. But so I joined Tech Talk, and it's been fantastic because it's a place where you can talk about, ideas. First of all, if you don't even join, if you just read, type in the search and read, learn, and I did that for a while. I was browsing Tech Talk for a while before I joined, And then I jumped in, and then, at some point I thought, well, I'm not really good at designing the crossovers on speakers. I tend to be much better at the cabinetry, coming up with a design and figuring out how to make that a sketch into a real life cabinet design. I'm not bragging. That's just how I'm wired. When I was born, I received certain gifts from God or whatever, and this is what I tend to be good at. The crossover stuff, not so much. In fact, it took me years and years and years to get a basic grasp of it. And a few times I thought, I'm just going to give up. I'll let somebody else design, the crossovers and stuff like that. But I kept at it, and eventually I got to the point where I knew enough where I could make something that sounded good, and then you can tweak it from there to make it sound the way you want it to sound. Of course, tools help. The DATS speaker, you can feel small parameters from most speakers with that, and that gives you a good start. And then the Omni mic is really amazing too, and I've had that for years and didn't really know how to work it. I got some help from somebody, and I sort of pleaded with them, and they said, I'm going to help you figure this out, and he did, and now I sort of understand how to use that a lot better, and some of the programs. But it took a village to raise this idiot, to be honest with you. It's complicated stuff, but it was a long process for me to get to the point where I understood enough about how to design, test, tweak a loudspeaker to make something that sounded good. But I didn't let the fact that I didn't know all this stuff stop me. I just jumped in. I started with speakers that were not kits, but things that other folks had designed. My first speaker that I built from the Parts Express Tech Talk forum in that group was the D3s. It used a Dayton silky tweeter in the middle and a 6.5-inch woofer top and bottom. And that was my first curved cabinet. I actually curved the sides back like that. My friend has those actually. They're still kicking, and they were great speakers, and they were till the day I gave them away. I mean, they have good bass, and they're clear. They don't do anything wrong. Maybe not as refined as whatever, some speakers, but they're good speakers. And so I started building speakers that were well-known, proven designs, and I sort of honed my craft or got better at the woodworking aspect by doing that. And then when you do that, you're sort of assured of a certain degree of success because, okay, this person who knows what they're doing designed the speaker, and all of these people have built it and rave about it. So unless I mess something up, I'm probably going to have a good sounding speaker when I'm done. And that was the case. So that's one of the ways you can get into this and learn how to build speakers is to take a design that someone else has done and try to do that. And if something doesn't sound right, there's going to be people there to help you figure out what you did wrong. I've built, oh my gosh, this is not bragging, it's a disease. My dad always says, boy, you got a disease. And he's right. Building speakers can really get into you, under your skin, and it becomes something that you just sort of dream about all the time. But I've built probably, I don't want to say hundreds, because it probably literally hasn't been hundreds, but it's been dozens and dozens, probably 40 or 50 different subwoofer designs, maybe 60 or 70 different speaker designs, most of which I designed myself. I don't publish all of what I do. A lot of it I do, I say publish, I mean put on the forum. But there's been quite a few, and it's a very fun and rewarding hobby. It does take some time to get to the point where you can do the crossover thing. But I would say don't let that stop you. If you're interested in this, if this is something that building speakers looks fun, then jump in and do something, recreate something someone else has done that you know is good. Don't let the fact that you don't know how to do this, that, or the other stop you. Do what you think you can do. And I guarantee you, the second time you do it, you'll do it a little better. If you learn from your mistakes, you'll make less mistakes. And really, I call myself a hack woodworker. The big idea with building stuff is figuring out good ways to cover your mistakes up. Because you're always going to make mistakes. I don't think I've ever built a speaker where I didn't screw a few things up, like, gouge this or scrape that or misalign this, that, or the other. There's always something that needs to be tweaked or fiddled with, but the more experience you have, the less there is, and the better you are at covering up the boo-boos. At any rate, I sort of got off track a little bit, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciate Parts Express because, yeah, it's just a hobby, but it's not just a hobby. I love music. I love listening to music. Even now, I sit downstairs and I'll listen to YouTube videos an hour or two or three a night some nights. I do enjoy sitting and listening to music. I'm married now. As a single person, I would put some good tunes on. I would, turn the lights off. I don't drink. I, sip root beer or whatever, but I would just listen to that music and enjoy it. That JVC amplifier I told you about that I spent $500 on, that had a Spectrum analyzer on it, and I would just watch the lights dance, listen to the music, and just be totally happy. Loved it. And, having a company like Parts Express who sells the things that you need to make those kind of speakers that you love and provides the forum for you to be able to talk to other people that know what they're doing, really know what they're doing. I mean, there's so many guys on there that are like experts. I mean, it's top level technical stuff that they know how to do, and you get to ask some of those guys questions. I probably answer questions more about the woodworking aspect of things. I try to stay in my lane. I talk about things I know about, but there are guys on there that probably know a little bit about everything. So anything related to speakers, it would be a good place to go. But like I say, it's just a hobby. It is, but it isn't, because when you have it in you to want to build speakers, to want to let that expression come out of you and design something that is amazing. I'm not bragging. I've made some amazing speakers. I surprised even myself. Again, I'm not bragging. I mean, you just spend enough time sketching and building, and the one speaker is better than the next. And now I can do this. Now I know how to curve wood and make some curved panels. What else can I do? So then you sit there with a sketch pad and you start sketching some stuff out, and you're like, wow, I don't even know if I can make that, but I sure would like to try, So that's how it happens. You say, well, I don't know if this looks too hard for me to do. So therefore, of course, I'm going to jump in like a knucklehead and see if I can do it anyway. Some of my coolest speaker cabinets have come from that type of thought process. Like, I don't even know if I can make this, but I think I know enough to be able to figure out how to do it. And there's been speakers where I've built the speaker and I've had almost as much time building jigs to make the stupid speaker with than I did actually making the speaker. But, it's fun. It's amazing. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I got started into this, sort of what makes me tick with it, and just to sort of say thank you to Parts Express, I guess, in a way, for being there for so many years and providing these types of products that cater to us, the do-it-yourself speaker crowd, and for providing the forum too, because it's a great place to learn. And I keep getting off track with this, what I want to say, but it's just a hobby. But it isn't just a hobby, because if you love music to the point where, and you know who you are, music is very important in my life. And if you're here watching this, it's a good chance that it's very important in your life too. So Parts Express, that company, those people, they gave me the opportunity to buy these things and build my own speakers and do a hobby that I love, and sort of a bucket list thing before I even knew about a bucket list. But then the forum too, to be able to have people to talk to that really know what they're doing, that really can give you advice that you can do and say, all right, this worked. And you can learn a lot from it without even joining, but to join and participate is a big deal. So just wanted to say thanks for that to Parts Express and the folks there for providing that. But if you love music and if you love speakers and you would love to build something and you want to try it, my advice to you would be, and I say this at the end of my videos, but you go ahead and do it. You never know what you can do till you try. You never know what you can do till you try. My first speakers were not great. I told you, it was 1/4-inch wood. They were flappy. I twisted all the positives and negatives together, and I don't remember, but I'd pay real money to see an Omni-Mic's frequency sweep of what that thing sounded like, or how many ohms it was. It was probably like 2 ohms, and it probably had a frequency curve that looked like, an EKG or something like that. But that's what got me started. And if you think you want to try building speakers, begin. Buy a kit, get on the forum, get on Tech Talk, and start poking around, looking and asking questions if you have questions. and to do a little bit of digging. But it's such a rewarding and fun hobby that if you're inclined that way, it's really something that could enrich your life tremendously. So that took an awful long time to say what I wanted to say, but if you stuck with me this long, thanks very much. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a background of what got me involved in this. Hopefully, I plan on making another video where I talk about some of the things that I've made. I've got actually one back here. This is one cool thing. I'll just talk about it real quick. But this is the Micro B 2.1 amplifier. Parts Express had started selling this. This was early when they first started selling amps, little amps and stuff for do-it-yourself. But they started selling this amplifier. It's a 2.1. Was it 15 watts per channel for the stereo and 30 watts for the subwoofer? And I said on the forum, man, it would be cool to make the world's tiniest little plate amp, 2.1 plate amp. And one of the guys, Rich, that worked at Parts Express at the time, he says, you know what, why don't you do it? Tell me what you need, I'll send you the parts, and go ahead and make it. And I did. And I needed help from some of my friends at Parts Express because there was noise issues, grounding, stuff like that, and I didn't know how to wire some things. But I'm really proud of this because this was sort of the first project that I did that got published and was useful. This is actually a decent little 2.1 plate amp. My wife still uses the original one that I built, and a pair of Quarks, which were a Jeff Bagby design speaker. And the subwoofer is a sub design that I built, uses an ND105 4-inch subwoofer in a kind of a tall, narrow cabinet to fit into a small space. But she's still using it and she likes it. It's got enough power, but I'm not trying to sell that or brag on it. There are other options that you can buy. The Parts Express sells, like the LaPie plate amp, that would probably be better. But this is the kind of stuff that sort of encouraged me to, somebody said to me from Parts Express, that sounds like a good idea. Why don't you build it? And I did. And that's sort of what gave me my start with the amplifiers and stuff like that. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have actually jumped in to amplifiers and all that kind of stuff. And not that I'm an expert, I'm not. Every project that I do, I almost have to ask for help from the guys at the forum because this doesn't work or that doesn't work, or I need some kind of isolation transformer or a power reducer, a step up or whatever. You name it and I have a question on it. But anyway, I'm going to stop now because this is getting really long. I apologize, but I'll end this video like I try to end all of them. If you're interested in building speakers or getting involved in amplifiers, messing around with any of that little stuff, Bluetooth stuff, go for it. Give it a shot because you never know what you can do till you try. All right, that's it. I'm done. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. See you next time.
What?